Well, good evening. Sorry, just a few minutes late. You know what life's like. Sometimes things get in the way and time runs away with you. But we're here. We're here, and welcome to the Open Door Show from propertyCEO. My name, as you might well know, if you don't, it's Richie Clapson, and I'm here with the other half of propertyCEO, Mr. Ian Child. Do you want to say good evening, Mr. Ian Child?
Good evening. Good to have you with us.
Yeah, very polite. Look, it's as Ian said, it's great to have you with us. It always is. And over the next 45 minutes, we're going to be taking a deep dive as
We're going to be covering some of the latest news items, talking to some of the movers and shakers out there who could give us an inside track on what's happening in the world of property. Also, be shining a spotlight on where we think there might be a few good opportunities for developers to take a look at.
You paused then, Ian. I wondered, I thought you'd suddenly frozen or gone.
No, it was your sound went, and I thought, as I'm not used to your mouth moving and nothing coming out, so I was a bit taken back. So apologies. You're back now.
Good stuff. Look, above all, as always, we can have a bit of fun doing what we're doing here tonight, because as we always say, life is far too short not to. So please join in, please pop your questions in the chat box, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can, not men, what am I saying? As many as we can over the next 45 minutes before the end of the show. So Ian, what's coming up this evening?
Well, the three biggest mistakes, the three big whoppers in development. Richie's going to give us the lowdown on what they are and how we can avoid them.
We ought to say as well, just unfortunately, and apologies for those that were on last week, we were going to have Dan Stiles, project manager and quantity surveyor, on this evening, but unfortunately he had to go and get his nails done. So he's had to cancel on us. I'm assuming he's getting his nails done. I don't know. We will get him back in the future. So apologies for that. But of course, you have got the two of us. So what's not to like? So I guess we should see if anyone can see and hear us. Can you give us a wave if you can see and hear us, please? Give us a wave. Give us a hands up. Oh, hands up are good. That's good. Good. Shall we do some news and then I'll do some shout outs? Do you want to do some news, Ian?
That's what you're going to do, is it?
Yeah, let's mix it up. Why not? Let's not always follow the way that people expect. Let's do a bit of news tonight.
Wow, this is very left field. Right, news. I have a selection of items for you here. So this is one from the world of planning. Government has reiterated its ambition to deliver 300,000 homes per year. Bizarrely, there was a housing minister that said that they might not be able to meet that target about a week and a half ago. And the two massive shocks are that he's still in his job, because they do change quite regularly. And the second thing is that they've come out and said it again. It's 300,000 homes per year. What else can I tell you? They are still planning to introduce a new single infrastructure levy. So that's going to be a hybrid of what currently the SIL and the Section 106. The idea is to better support the timely delivery of infrastructure. Local authorities would be allowed to borrow against infrastructure levy revenues. So basically, the council can borrow some cash in advance of getting the levy in from developers, which will enable them to fund their planning teams, which sounds quite positive. And the big issue is really exploring further options to support prompt and faster build out of sites. So basically, they want to get, when planning is granted, they want to get stuff out of the blocks as quickly as possible. And they reiterated their focus on brownfield development, so PD rights and all that. So that was a bit on the planning. This is the same story that I probably give you most weeks, actually, but it's a story that keeps on giving. It's about house.
What about the cat? Is it the one about the cat and the large ladder and the fire brigade?
No, it's not that one.
Okay.
This one is about house price growth. Apparently, having predicted that it's of course going to plateau and go down, it's now at a 17-year high. So apparently, annual growth in house prices hit 14.3% in February, the Nationwide said that the housing market had a surprising amount of momentum, given the mounting pressure on household budgets and the steady rise in borrowing costs. They reckon, though, that price growth will slow down in the year ahead due to high inflation rates and interest rate rises, which is exactly what they said about 3 months ago. But there we go. And then the final one, This one is it's a bit of you, this, Rich. Actually, I
Looking
saw
forward
it.
to it.
So here we go. How do you fancy a studio flat in one of London's most desirable areas? Just come on the market. We're talking, where are we here? We are in Chelsea, and we are looking at excellent travel links. The short stroll from West Brompton, Earls Court, and Fulham Broadway. Apparently, your neighbours will be where are we? Here's somewhere. Your neighbours will be the Duke and
I'm
Duchess.
glad you're well prepared for this evening, Ian. I'm glad you're well prepared.
There's lots of pages here. This is the estate agent's particulars. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Elton John, Sir Richard Branson, and Stella McCartney. Quite nice to have on the table around the corner. And get this, the rent for this property, £867 a month in central Chelsea. And the only £867 per month. The only downside is that it measures. It's a studio and it measures 3 meters by 2 meters. Although that doesn't.
That's got a one bed.
No, that is a studio, but quite bijou. It does in fact extend to a total of 10.5 square meters. So if you've got £867 a month to spare and you're looking for a little pied-à-terre in Chelsea and you don't have any cats to swing, then there's your property.
I tell you what, be fair though, Ian, that'd be cheaper than probably renting a hotel room, and some of those aren't much bigger, some of those little pod ones. So
very true, very true.
Yeah, good stuff. I like the sound of it. Excellent. Well, let's see who's on the show this evening, because it's nice to see people joining us. We're chatting away. So Krishna's on, Catherine's on, Cheryl's on. Hello, Cheryl. Monica's on, Doral's on, Jenny and Roma's on, Richard's on, Patrick, Dan's on, Sue's on, Debbie Jean's on. Philip's on. Good evening, Philip. Good evening. Who knows? Dermot's on. Sophie's on. Patrick's on. Caroline's on. Harjinder. Quite a few people. And Philip says good evening. And Dan says good evening, gents. And Jenny Roman says evening, guys. Jenny and Roman here. Sorry that we missed this morning. Yeah, where were you on the Q&A? That's a student's Q&A, by the way. So unbelievable that you weren't there. Harjinder says great to be on this evening. Looking forward to the content. Ooh. No pressure then. No pressure. Gabriella says hi. Okay. Cheryl says, did you get snow? Yes, we have, on and off all day. Now, one thing I just think I need to say, folks, and I think it's important, we need to be careful on this open door show. Okay. I need to not talk as much. Okay. And Ian needs to just change the way he talks, because we have found, we've had some feedback, and I think this is important that we share this. We were out and we were chatting to people that watch this show. One of our guests, who I believe is on this evening, Dan, and his partner, Rachel. And Rachel had said that she tunes into the show, even though she's not a property person, every single week. But there was a problem. She couldn't turn the show off. Do you remember that, Ian?
That's vaguely coming back to me.
Yeah. And she said, and get this, she said that our voices were something special. And she said, actually, that Richie's voice is addictive. So that's why I've got to be careful. Okay. And Ian's voice was husky. So look, there you are. Now, I don't know if you agree with that or don't agree with that. Obviously, comments are welcome in the chat box, but we need to be careful. We don't want people to get addictions, not unnecessary. You don't want to be having to tune into me, wake up in the middle of the night and listen to myself or Ian, with his husky voice and my addictive voice. It's just not good for you. Okay, we can wean you off of it. And the great thing is we're going to have a spring break. So you're going to better wean yourself off over a good few weeks. So
cold turkey. Love it. We weren't going to have a break until we found out that Richie was addicted.
Okay, let's talk about mistakes. Okay, let's talk about big mistakes, and let's talk about you trying to, as we said in the show notes, put your best foot forward. And I want to talk about, there's all, what are the 3 biggest mistakes? I guess we could go on for ages, but I want to just home in tonight, because I think we can talk about mistakes for future shows as well. But tonight, I just want to talk about finding opportunities, finding development opportunities. And these are mistakes sort of related to finding those opportunities that new developers make. And I'm going to give you 3 of them, because these come up time and time again. So I'm thinking here as well, the biggest mistakes, you've got to start somewhere. This is the start of your journey. This is the start of the process, is actually finding the deal, finding the property. So where do you make mistakes here? Now, some of our students will be familiar because we talk about this. If you're not a student of ours, you might not be familiar with this, but write these down if you want. If you don't want to, don't write them down. It's entirely up to you. We're not going to come round. Anyway, number one, searching. That's the biggest mistake that we get to start with. The default option. What do most newbies do? Maybe you see yourself doing this. You dive on the portals, Rightmove, Zoopla, States Gazette. I tell you what, let's get on that. Let's get all our alerts set up. Great stuff. We're all set up. We've got everything marked up. Now, I don't say don't do this, but don't sit there. Don't sit there having put all your alerts on and then wait for the deals to come flooding in. Here they come. All the best deals in the world are going to come flooding in on my alerts, because I'm the only one in the whole country that's put a few alerts down there, and I'm going to get them, even in my area. No one else has done that. No one else knows how to operate it. Now, grant you, a lot of people don't know how to put alerts in properly. That is true, but there are still quite a few that do. And here's my question. My question to you. Do you think that well-established developers are going to sit back, look at their alerts each morning and waiting for the next big deal? Do you? No, they don't. Around 50% of the development deals done in this country do not come to the general market. It's about relationships. Now, our students know this. If you don't, you will now. Okay, it's about building relationships. And many newbies out there say they've got relationships with agents, but do you? Do you have a relationship? Do you know them? Do you know their families, their likes, their dislikes, their hobbies? Do you? If you don't, then you don't have that relationship. So it is about building relationships. Okay, now you need to know how to get credibility. You've got to demonstrate credibility, and that is so important. Otherwise, you can't even begin to build that relationship. But the first thing I want you to think about is don't just rely on searching the default portals. Okay, it's about building relationships. Just imagine a well-established existing developer with 15, 20, 30 years experience. Do you think they're sat there waiting for the alerts? No. What about the second point? Second point, know how to do a deal. That's what I want. You write this down if you want. Know how to do a deal, okay? Because most newbies don't know how. They don't know how. Look, I think the point here, if someone has something for sale and you know that you've got a reasonable offer price, something good, then find out what is needed to get that deal done, okay? What gets you in the frame? What does the vendor want, or importantly, need? What does that vendor need? Meet the vendor, build some rapport. Okay, rapport's come into it twice tonight, unbelievable. But you've got to get to that vendor. Okay, you want to see what they're about. I used to buy, I don't at the moment because I just don't have time, but I used to buy a lot of businesses, and I used to say, where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you want to do something, if you want to buy something, find a way to do it. I mean, again, let me ask you this question. Do you think established developers give up after their first offer refusal? Oh, you refused my offer. Okay, I'm off. No, property development is a business. And I guess the answer, it's as much about doing business deals as it is understanding how to develop. Again, you need to demonstrate credibility, and that's not simple and very easy to get wrong. But think of this as a business, and think of this about doing deals. You've got to know how to do a deal. You've got to know to work. Get an example. If you've got a vendor, and I've seen developers do this, where they've got a vendor that wants, £500,000, but you're only prepared to offer 450 or 425. And actually, when you get to it, and I've seen this exact example, whether these numbers are correct, but it was a sort of similar proportions. And actually, the developer got to meet the vendor. Do you know the vendor's keenness? What he really wanted was about 40 or 50 grand cash now. He wanted that now. He had a problem. He needed to raise some cash, but he was still holding out for the sale of the property. The person I know, the friend of mine, developer, said, look, I tell you what, we do you a deal. We do you a deal, and I'll give you 50 grand virtually straight away. Okay, as a deposit, we'll sort that out, and then I'm going to get it for X, and I'll also give you a bit of overage, maybe at the back end. I won't get you 500, but I'm going to get you close. The fact that he was prepared to do a deal, strike a deal, and find a way of getting that 40, 50 grand, whatever it was, to that vendor to sort out their own problems, all done legally, sewn up with the solicitors, of course. He didn't take it in a suitcase and pass it across. Of course he didn't. But having done that in that way, he got and found out what the vendor needed. What did the vendor need? Really important. It's about knowing how to do a deal. The third and final one, because obviously I'm very cautious that my voice is addictive and we need to be careful. And I know you're still waiting for a bit of Ian's husky voice. Do you know, I don't know why I didn't have a husky voice, Ian. Do you know why I didn't have a husky voice?
I'm probably too busy being addictive, I'd have thought. I've never thought of your voice as being husky, actually.
No, nor have I, to be fair. I suppose you can't have both. Anyway, number 3. What do you do with a property? Okay, this is a big mistake because people don't think out the box. That's the mistake. They don't think out the box. Many newbies will look, and I'm sorry to use the word new. No, I'm not sorry. You know if you're new. Okay, it's not a derogatory term. If you're new, you know that. A lot of newbies will look at a property and go, right, let's convert this to some residential flats. There we go. That's our default option every single time. Now, granted, residential flats are probably the highest value of any particular building that you've got in pounds per square meter. So that is a good way to do it. But do you think, this is my question to you again here, do you think established developers just have one approach, one solution, one area of knowledge, one, dare I say it, strategy? Of course they don't. They don't just go, oh yeah, all I know is how to convert flats. You need to know your demographics. You need to know what's going on, and you must think beyond residential. What about commercial? What about retail? What else? What else could you do with that building? I see, when I see something and you see an opportunity, and here we're talking in development, we're talking about a building, maybe a bit of land, but preferably a building because we want to use permitted development rights. When you see a building that's for sale and you have a motivated seller, then really, it is down to you to go, what can I do? How can I make something out of that? How can I be creative? It's a bit like people that would just buy anything because, I can find a use for that. But so if you find a building and there's a motivated seller and you could get it for a deal, what else could you do with it? What about commercial? What about retail? Look, this is a changing world with changing needs. What's next? What will be in demand? Can you supply something that will be in demand? So you need to think as well how to sweat that asset. So when you know what you want to do with it, how do you sweat it? Now, our students that are on, there's quite a few on this evening, will know how to block plan because we teach you. If you're not a student of ours, how do you lay the building out? How do you know what you can get in it? Do you know how to do that? Because you need to. Okay. Who's the entrepreneur? You're the entrepreneur. It's not down to an architect. You've got to push those boundaries. And a large amount of new developers will give up very quickly on a property. And there's many a time when I've seen that. And then I go, what about this, this, or this? With a quick block plan, they go, oh my God, look at that. £250,000 profit. What's not to like? Okay. You really, really need to do that. That is vitally important. So I guess here, number one, make sure you don't follow the crowds and just go onto the portals. The new existing developers don't just sit there and wait for those alerts. Make sure you know how to do deals. Okay. If you don't, find out, learn how to negotiate, it's a game of cards. Keep your cards close to your chest. Don't tell them too much. Okay. It's a game of cards, but know how to do deals. It's great fun as well when you do. And make sure you know what to do with something when you see it. Look, there are always, and we get this all the time. We get this from existing students in the room. It's the most common thing. I just really struggle to find deals. There's no deals out there. There are deals out there all the time. They're not going to just pop off the tree like picking apples. Okay. You just need to know what you're looking for and how to get the deal done. There are always deals out there. And I guess there's an old saying, okay, if you want to hide the treasure, put it in plain sight, then no one else will see it. Do you get that? Just knowing how to do deals, okay? You need to know how to run a development business. It's not simple. It's very easy to get wrong, and many newbies do. There we go. So there's a little bit about three fairly big mistakes that I see, particularly when people are looking for deals. Was that interesting, Ian? Did you enjoy that? I
did enjoy that very much, actually. I found it curiously addictive.
Oh, absolutely. Well, equally, Ian, I just tend to find that your voice is somewhat husky. Not necessarily my flavour of huskiness, but I can definitely see what people are saying.
Okay. Thank you.
Shall we do some questions?
Let's. I've got several questions actually, but I'll start with this one. This one is from Will. Good evening, Will. Who asks, where's it gone? Here it is. I see lots of commercial deals on the portals. How do you know that 50% don't come onto the market? Okay, well, I guess you don't see what you don't see. So, I mean, we've got that feedback from talking to lots of agents, both residential and commercial, because of course it kind of does make sense. You know, the putting it on the market, putting it on the portals, having somebody go around and measure up, do lots of photos, produce a PDF, advertise it, do viewings, everything else. That all takes time and money. So if they've already got some hot buyers ready to go that they know are going to be interested in that property, it really does make sense for them just to make a quick phone call. The other thing that we hear a lot of is people say, "Oh, it's so frustrating. A lot of the commercial agents, they give the deals to their mates." And the reality is that they don't actually, because they're not technically allowed to. They're getting a fee from the vendor. They've got to act in the vendor's interest. So what you're seeing there isn't them sort of giving deals away to people that you know they went to school with or their brother-in-law or whatever. The mates that you're seeing are people that have achieved what Rich has been mentioning, which is that they've managed to build a relationship, build that rapport, and then buddy up and cozy up to the commercial agent. So that's the position that you want to get in. So when other people look in and they see that you're getting all the deals, well, that's because they'll accuse you of being a mate of the estate agent, but actually all that's happened there is that you've gone out of your way to build that rapport and create that relationship. So there you go. Well, I hope that helps.
Okay. Jins, he says, good evening, gents. I'm addicted to the show as well. Hey, good stuff. My question, he says, why do the commercial agents not put deals on the portals? They would then get more people to look at it and maybe a better price. I mean, a follow on from what you've just said there, Ian, and I think that Ian's answered Will's question, Jin, it is, look, it's not always about a better price. It's often about proceedability. And so the agents, mates, contacts, they're picking those out that are likely to proceed, people that are likely to follow through. The agent pretty much knows probably what it's going to be worth. There's no point putting it out onto the marketplace, getting a load of high offers that people aren't proceedable. And also, I think there's a point where the vendor will say, look, if I get X, if I get 600,000, I'm happy. That's fine. That's what I need to do what I need to do. Again, it's what's the vendor's needs or wants. And so sometimes if an agent can say, look, I could get it on the market, I could see what else we could get, I could go to auction, I could do sealed bids, or I've got someone here who's proceedable, I've worked with them 3 or 4 times before, I know they're good for the cash, 600,000 is what you wanted, do you want to do a deal? I mean, what would you do? What would you do? You'd go for it probably, wouldn't you? So I think, Jim, yes, sometimes they might, but quite often it's about proceedability. And if the price is fair and reasonable, then maybe that's the way to go. There we go, Jim. Hopefully that answers that question. Ian, what's next?
One from Charlotte. Good evening, Charlotte. How can I learn to build rapport? Not that confident in property yet. So why would any agents want to spend time talking with me? Okay, Charlotte, rapport is, well, it's a skill. It's a skill that you can learn. So I think we tend to think that there are kind of extrovert people and introvert people, and that people just kind of naturally are good at talking to people. And I guess some people are. I think that actually a lot of people aren't that comfortable doing it, but they make themselves do it because that's how you build rapport. There's lots of ways in which you can kind of build rapport. Lots of tips and tricks and techniques that you can use. I mean, one of the interesting things about the way we communicate is apparently somebody has worked this out, that only 7% of the communication that we make is verbal. So you'd think when I'm telling you something that actually it's you're getting most of what you need to know from what I'm telling you, but actually that's only 7%. It is 30. Where is it now? It's going to be 55%. I think is the number for what we do from our body language. So there's kind of watching what we're doing, and then the remainder is like that. The remainder is the tone. So basically, if you send an email, people effectively sort of hearing the voice. That's 7% of the communication. If you do a phone call, then they're getting the voice and the tone, so they're getting 45%. If you meet them in person, they're getting the whole 9 yards. They're getting the whole 100%. So Sorry about the maths, but there's a whole raft of communication that we and tips and tricks that we can use with our communication, particularly with body language, to help build rapport. I think the other thing to say is that at the end of the day, estate agents, commercial agents, you are a customer, you are a potential customer. So they are going to be generally friendly. There are ways in which you can kind of build rapport and look kind of credible. That's obviously a couple of things that we teach, but why would an agent deal with you? Well, it's because you are potentially going to be buying some property. But as I said, there are lots of ways of building rapport and ways you can do it scientifically rather than kind of thinking, well, I'm not a kind of rapport building person. You can do it. It is a science. Charlotte, I hope that helps you.
I think the other big thing in terms of that building rapport, if you want to go the whole hog, have a hug. Because a little hug is just you're conveying even more information about how you feel about someone. So I think a little hug, maybe a little peck on the cheek, you can build rapport in a big way.
That actually explains quite a lot. For one of our last projects. You mentioned it.
Oh dear.
And also, perhaps another reason.
Anyone coming to our 4-day masterclass next week, look forward to lots of hugs.
Wow, hug it out.
You're allowed a hug now. You're allowed a hug. I think you can, can't you? You can hug now.
I think so. I don't think there's anything on the government website about it.
No. Okay, next question. How can you find out? Sorry, Cheryl says, how can you find out what the vendor wants as you suggest? Normally, you only speak with the agent. Yeah, you do, Cheryl, don't you? I think it's getting past that agent to the vendor. I'd always try and encourage that if you can, unless it's a relatively straightforward deal, because the agent's going to tell you what the agent wants you to know. And it's not always going to be the truth. And sometimes actually vendors, would be much more honest with you, again, about what they need and want. That example I gave you with the 40, 50 grand, that sort of order, my friend only found that out by getting to the vendor, having a chat with the vendor. One thing I would definitely suggest you just never do is try and cut the agent out. We often get asked that. Well, I could cut the agent out. That'll save a couple of quid. Yeah, but I tell you what, your reputation will be going around like wildfire. Don't cut the agents out. They need to be on your side. If the agent feels like you're going to cut them out, Cheryl, then they're not going to give you that introduction. Maybe try and get the introduction with the agent there. Just say, I'd like to meet the vendor. I'd like to just have a chat with them. I'd like to really see how this can come together. If your agent trusts you, and this comes back to the credibilities, if you don't have rapport with your agent, and rapport is that special relationship, it is taking it. I mean, I'm seriously, don't go around hugging your agents, okay? Please don't. And Reggie said, hug them, whoa, hello. So please don't do that. So the thing is, if you've got a really good relationship with them, then they're going to trust you, Cheryl. They're going to trust you that you can go in and have a proper chat with that vendor. They might introduce you. If they don't, then they won't get to that point. Sometimes the vendor might go a bit suspicious, but if you find a reason that you just want to discuss about the history of the building, you want to know what the previous use has been, have they had any problems with this or that, find a reason. We also teach our students, there are ways you can manipulate this to actually get to see the vendor, particularly if it's an owner-occupied. That can certainly happen as well. So, Cheryl, it's always possible. Where there's a will, there's a way. Ian, what's next?
I've got a question here from Nadia. Good evening, Nadia. She asked, do you think it is sensible to focus on one niche area of, say, shops to residential, as opposed to looking at everything? You could then get really good at this approach. Yep, absolutely right. Having a niche, really powerful. You can become very good at it and know kind of all the tips and tricks that are involved in that particular niche. But I think you kind of also get a reputation for it, particularly with agents. If they know that you're looking at doing shop to resi conversions, then that is nice and simple, isn't it? The agents want to know. The more specific you are in terms of what you're asking for up to a point, then the more that they can see that it's a great opportunity for you, rather than if you were kind of looking at a bit more generally. What I'd say though is that particularly when you're looking at doing things like conversions rather than new build, there are lots of different buildings out there that now currently kind of all come under the same use class. Whereas they all used to be separate, so we've got this kind of sort of super use class E, and we've got the permitted development right called class MA, which enables us to change those buildings into residential. I think what you don't really want to be in a situation is where you see a great opportunity, but it's not a shop. It might be some other form of commercial unit, or maybe light industrial or something, and you think, oh, yeah, that's a great opportunity, but that's not me. I don't know how to do it. The reality is you should work out how you can do conversions per se, and then whatever the opportunity, because so much of it has stuff in common in terms of doing conversions. That way you can kind of niche down on shops being a specialism, but you've also got that ability to do other types of projects that sit in the same kind of conversion space if they come up. Nadia, I hope that helps. Richie.
Okay, Jenny and Roman, I'm not sure which one put this message in, but they said, don't use all the hugs up next week. We won't see you until the week after at the Academy Day and Developers Club. Yippee! Well, I can't promise. I mean, I've only got so many hugs that I can give out. I mean, a man can't just give them out freely, can he? So I can't promise Jenny and Roman they're going to be there. Maybe one for you, Roman, but I'm not sure for Jenny. We'll see how we go. Dan's put a comment in here. He said, couldn't agree more. I'm not sure what he can agree more to, but he said he couldn't agree more. Let's have a look. It's important. It's important to build the relationship with the agent, but even more so to get in front of the vendor to find out what's important to them. He's put a little smiley face on the front. He's agreeing with us. Like, well done, Dan. Thanks very much. Philip's question, if I can pick that up, because there's a question here rather than a statement. Philip says, the agent gets a fee, but do you give the agent a drink, or is it that's dependent on what they're looking for? So Philip, good evening, Philip. Nice to see you again. Saw you. Where did we see you? Which show did we see you at recently? Was it the NEC? I can't remember where we saw you last, Philip. Or was it National Landlords? National Landlords. It was National Landlords, wasn't it? Anyway, nice to see you again. Maybe we see you. And actually, maybe we see anyone else who's coming to the Property Investors Show over the weekend at XL. Anyone going up to the Property Investors Show? Give us a wave. Give us a hands up. Give us a wave. Oh, a few hands up. Good, good, good. Well, if you're not going, please come along. We're up there. We're chairing 2 panels. And should landlords become developers, we're chairing 2 panels on Friday and 1 on Saturday, and speaking in 2 of the main theatres on both days as well, talking about building your property development business, and we're talking about the systems and processes to do that. So if you are interested, just type in Property Investors Show, and I think the ticket's free. I can't remember. Are they free in? I don't know.
I think there is a way of getting free tickets. Yes.
It must be. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, come and see us. Come and say hello. You never know, you might get a hug. Anyway, Philip's question here. In terms of, do you know what I wouldn't do? As I wouldn't give anyone a drink. I wouldn't use that type of language. That starts for me bordering on brown envelopes. And I'm sure that's not what you meant, Philip. But I think in terms of, if an agent is, you said an agent is what they're looking for. If you employ an agent to look for an opportunity for you, and you can do that, you can pay an agent a commission, go out and find me an XYZ, bring that to me and then I'll do a deal on it. Then I would just pay, they get a fee for that. I pay them a commission, whatever that's going to be, that's what they're going to go and deliver. Is it 1.5%, 2%, something like that? If an agent's selling me something and he's putting me or she's putting me in their black book, well, obviously they're going to get a fee from the vendor. I wouldn't be giving them a drink or giving them, because it's a bit like bribery, and it just feels like then the minute you don't do it, well, they miss it. I would just keep it totally professional. I will tell you that there are definitely agents out there who will be looking for a little brown envelope, okay, and there still are, and just avoid that like the plague. Don't ever go down that slippery slope, because it is a slippery slope, and once you start, even if your intentions are good and not underhand, someone won't see it like that, and you'll get mightily caught out. I'm not suggesting you would do this, Philip. I'm just trying to portray this to others. So what I would say is, no, I think if an agent's getting a fee off the vendor, if you're giving them a fee, keep it absolutely professional on the level. What you can do is take them out for a nice meal, buy them a drink, because that's building rapport. That's not, give someone a drink is what I might give a plumber or a removal guy or someone that carries my cases up to the room. If we ever go to a hotel and my wife carries the cases up to the room, I'll give her a tenner. She's done well, bless her, poor girl. She's quite a few bags she has to carry, and she's got a bad back. But it's a tenner. It's worth it for her. She can get a couple of coffees. So that type of tipping is okay, but I wouldn't do it any other way. So just keep it nice and professional, but take that money for sharing a nice meal together and with others if necessary. Hopefully, Philip, that answers your question. Come on, Ian, what's next?
Got one here from Jackie. Good evening, Jackie. I have a question on funding. Can you borrow 100% of all funds needed to do development? Okay, well, technically, yes, although I think it's fair to say that it's a lot easier and more straightforward and cheaper, more cost effective, and probably more sensible to do it with to have some of your own funds available. I think one of the sort of misconceptions about property development is about the money, because people think, well, you need a lot of money to develop property, and you do, but it doesn't have to be your own money. That's the big misconception. So what typically will happen is, if you're going to buy, say, a shop, then your commercial lender will lend you up to 70% of it, and you'll have to find the rest either yourself or from private investors. So there's a big difference there, that you can actually borrow the deposit effectively from private investors. Some commercial lenders will want you to have some skin in the game, so they may be looking for you to take up some of that deposit, but you speak to your broker and work out what kind of works for you. And then for the development finance, again, this is something that people can surprise some people that are new to development, is that the same commercial lender that lent you the 70% will lend you 100% of the development finance. So you're kind of borrowing potentially all of the money to acquire the asset, and then 100% of the development finance to do it at the back end. As I said, we would certainly recommend that you had some cash available, because there is going to be potentially some additional costs that you might incur pre-purchase, and also you want a bit of a rainy day fund. If there are some unexpected costs that you want to be able to fork out for, then it makes sense to be able to dip into your own pocket to be able to fund those. But I think the reality is that that the amount of money that you need to get into development is quite often a lot less than a lot of people think. Certainly a lot less than potentially being a buy-to-let investor, and that's mainly because when you're doing buy-to-lets, you typically are funding the deposit yourself, so that money stays locked in that property, and it's normally, if it's 25%, I think the average deposit in the UK at the moment for buy-to-let is about 70 grand. So you can certainly do development for a lot less than that. And of course, it's a different model, because you're getting your money back, you're forcing the value and getting the money back typically in, say, 18, 24 months. So it works rather differently. But there you go, Jackie. Hope that helps.
Okay, got a question here from Yazza that's sent in the week once the show is announced, so you're always welcome to do that. Let me just read this question out. A fairly lengthy question, but let's have a go. It says, for an equity investor where the senior lender will be doing their own due diligence to assess if to lend on a project, the developer may not want to spend too much to get an accurate build cost via a schedule of works and also their own valuation of the site and end GDV until ready to start conversations with the senior lender. Okay, not sure I agree with that, but let's hold that thought. How do you therefore manage this scenario? For example, asking for equity for a project from equity investors, I'm assuming moving private here, who may want accurate build costs and some indicative terms from the senior lender so that a more accurate profit on GDV can be ascertained. Hopes that makes sense, says Yazza. Look, I think the thing here, if you're going to offer on a project and that offer's going through, so you can do a very, very early decision in principle from a funder. A funder can give you that with not a lot of information. That could be a little bit of Sunday morning in your pajamas type work. If you're then getting to the point where you put an offer in, or you want to put an offer in, and at the very least, if that offer is accepted, now you're moving across to funders and valuations. You've got to have a detailed cost analysis. Okay, do not, and this is why I don't agree with the first bit, do not rely on the lenders to do their own due diligence. They will, but if you've got nothing to send them, how does that look? So you're going to say, by the way, I've been a bit lazy, I don't want to spend any money on doing due diligence, you do it for me and let me know if the deal stacks up to lend me money. How does that look? Okay, and what if actually they lend you the money but they got their numbers wrong? Who's left holding the baby? Who's left owing the money? Not the lenders, it's you. And if you're going to borrow probably the biggest amount of money you've ever borrowed in your life, you have to do your own numbers. Okay, you have to spend out a bit of money with the professionals to get that done. Okay, and in terms of valuation, look, you're probably not going to do your own valuation, because that will be doubling up and your valuation won't be able to be transferred, normally not, 9 times out of 10 it can't be, to the lender. They want their own valuation surveyor. Okay, so I wouldn't say there's a lot of point in doing that. I would go to estate agents and get get some estate agents to do that, and know how to value your site yourself, which is what we teach our students. We teach them how to work out the own value of their gross development value. Okay, so you've got to do your own costs. Now, when I come on to private equity investors, the same thing. If you're going out and asking for someone for money, you need to have done your own numbers, not say, because if someone says to you, have you done your own numbers? No, not really, because it's private money. I didn't want to spend the money out. You've got to do it. But here's the thing as well. If you're talking to equity investors, now I'm not sure where you're thinking of. If these are sophisticated investors and they're going to get a share of the profits, okay, as part of their return, then they're going to want to see some numbers. They're going to want to get involved and know how the project stacks up. If you can't give them numbers, or the numbers you give them are from someone else, in which case, as soon as you get interrogated on it, they're going to walk away. Then it's that's just bad. That's bad business. But the other thing I would say, if you're equity investors, and I don't know, Yasser, in terms of what you're trying to do here, if your equity investors are actually private investors on a loan note, so basically they're not sophisticated, they're unsophisticated, they're not getting a share of the profits, they're just getting the percentage return, then they're not entitled to the detailed breakdown. That's got nothing to do with them, okay? Because the problem is, private investors then will start trying to interrogate the numbers. Well, what have you got here? But they don't know. What you're doing to them is you're actually saying, here we are, lend me 100,000, 250,000, whatever. I will give you 8.5% return, 9.5%, whatever it is you're going to give them. That's it. And I give you a personal guarantee. Okay. Yes, you can show them some spreadsheets. You can show them the numbers to give them confidence, but it's not for them to interrogate your deal, because they're just on a simple loan note basis. And this is about you having confidence in investors, and the investors having confidence in you that you're going to be able to return that. So it comes back, what I was talking about earlier at the show, comes back to credibility. So I think the bottom line of all of this is make sure you definitely do your own due diligence. Do not rely on someone else's, and just be careful with private investors. Don't give private investors too much information where they then don't understand it and they got a little bit of knowledge, and it just becomes dangerous. And more often than not, they would back out in that case. Ian, shall we see if we can fit one more in? Have you got one quick one there we can do before we wrap up tonight?
Quick one. I've got a bit of a left field one here from Mike. Good evening, Mike. Are there times when you shouldn't dress a show flat? The answer is yes, actually, but a little bit more meat on the bones. I know that some people say you should always dress a flat. In my view, I think it depends. I think there are times when, particularly if you've got smaller flats, that putting stuff in can make it look smaller. There's a few practical things as well. Where are you going to store the furnishings between projects? You need to put it somewhere, and there's obviously a cost to it as well. Do you sell it with the property? I think also if your flat's different, so this kind of comes up quite a lot with conversions. Where all of your flats are the same, then doing a show flat kind of makes sense, because it kind of doesn't really matter which one the customer buys, because they all look the same pretty much. Whereas when you're doing a conversion, quite often all of the rooms are different, all the flats are different, and people have favorites. So if you're doing dressing up one as a show flat, then it doesn't really give a great representation of the others. So I would say with that one, probably better instead having a kind of an open day, and liaise with your agent on that, and then get everybody in to see, and they can have a bum fight over which is their favorite flat, because they can see everybody else kind of jostling for position at the same time. Final point though, if you are planning on having a show flat, do not make it a secret. Keep it a secret from your contractor. I've seen many contractors explode when you tell them a bit later on that you quite fancy a show flat, because of course they've got to make sure that the show flat is ready before the other flats, and they need to factor that in. So make sure that it's you don't keep it a secret. There you go, Mike. Hope that helps.
Good stuff. Look, I know there's lots of other questions. We could sit here we wouldn't sit here all night, to be fair, but we could sit here quite a lot longer and try and get through a few more. We can't always do that. Apologies. Hopefully the ones we have got through have been useful and interesting for you all. Now, as I said at the top of the show, a little bit of bad news for you, I'm afraid. We are taking a spring break, as we always do. So, but it's an extended spring break. So we're not going to be back until the 26th of May. So unfortunately, we always take April off here, off of Open Door Show, but we've got a couple of other commitments, which means we can't be back to the 26th of May. But we will on the 26th of May have Will Lucy from Luck Capital talking all about finance and raising money. So that'll be quite interesting to get the latest from him as we go into the middle of this year. If anyone wants to, in the meantime, get a bit more of us, then you are more than welcome, if you're new to property, to sign up to Six-Figure Roadmap. It is a free half-day workshop that we run, and you're more than welcome to come and listen to our addictive and husky voices for another 3 hours. And that link, if you want to grab a pen, is propertyceo.co.uk/SFR. So that's propertyceo.co.uk/SFR. If you want to come and join us on a 3-hour session, we'll tell you a little bit more about property and starting to create your own six-figure roadmap. Please do pop in the chat box if you've enjoyed tonight's show. Obviously, Ian, you can let me know in a minute and let everyone else know if you've enjoyed it. So have an answer prepared, because I know you were a little bit slow earlier in the show. So pop in the chat box if you have enjoyed it, and we'll read a few of those things out before we sign off. Ian, have you enjoyed the show?
Yeah, love the show. Really good, really good.
Oh, that's good. Well, there you go. Look, why use more words when a few will do, eh? Good stuff. Will says, great show, thoroughly enjoyed it. Jin says, addictive, question mark, who knows. Nadia says, love it, thanks for the answers. Charlotte's just given a double thumbs up and a smiley face. Vanda says, thank you, enjoy the break. Vanda and Graham actually signing off on behalf of both. Cheryl says, very good, tally ho. Looking forward to engaging on the course, says Monica. Well, absolutely. And Jenny and Roma says, crikey, we will have forgotten about your addictive and husky voices. Sound like enjoy your break. And Debbie Jean says, great stuff. Thank you both. Thank you, Debbie Jean. Thank you, everyone else. We'll see you on the 26th of May. See if you can always go onto YouTube and do a bit of surfing on there on Property CEO. That'll keep you going. You'll be fine. See you now. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.